Okay, I have a lot. I'll see if it picks up. Thank you.
Okay, you guys ready? Sure. This meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chair Cole.
Here.
Vice Chair LaVere.
Here.
Authority Member Buchanan.
Here.
Authority Member Day. Authority Member Schock. Authority Member Webb.
Here.
Authority Member Winsack. We do have a quorum. Thank you.
Will you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is approval of the agenda. Are there any questions or modifications? If not,
Move the agenda be approved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda, 3A, certification of the July 11th, 2018 regular meeting minutes. Did any members have changes or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes for the July 11th, 2018 regular meeting of the Littleton Licensing Authority.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on an issue that is not otherwise on the agenda that would have a public hearing period? Seeing none. We'll move to item 5A, new application, resolution 17201 to approve a liquor license application for COBBQ LLC, doing business as the Rusty Tap, Colorado, barbecue and catering, 311 East County Line Road, Littleton, Colorado. Looks like there's someone here on behalf of the applicant. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure.
And yeah, so why don't we do this? Why not, if
I could do.
yeah, why don't you, or you could even have a seat.
Okay.
Whatever's easier, but otherwise I'll just keep harping on you to.
All right, I'd like to stand if that's okay.
It's fine with me as long as we can hear you.
Perfect. Good evening, Chair, members of the authority, Deputy City Clerk, Council. Thank you for having us tonight. My name is Adam Staven. I'm an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Colorado. My registration number is 27506, appearing on behalf of the applicant, COBBQ LLC. Also with me at the podium is Tap Smith and Rusty Schaefer, and they're the owners of these two, the applicant that we're seeking to be licensed.
All right, good evening, gentlemen. Can I have the two of you, just again for the record, make sure that you lean in. Will you just identify yourselves, and then I'll ask to swear the two of you in. So real quick, your name?
My name is Lewis Smith, and I'm operating manager of COBBQ LLC.
Mr. Smith, thank you.
My name is Russell Schaefer. I'm operating manager of COBBQ LLC.
Okay, Mr. Smith and Mr. Schaefer, will you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this authority is truthful?
I do.
Thank you. So just for your benefit and for those our legions of fans watching at home, we have in front of us exhibits A through G, which are the application, memo from the Littleton Police Department regarding a background check, Exhibit C, signed waiver and boundaries, Exhibit D, proof of posting of premises, Exhibit E, proof of publication, Exhibit F, the petitions, and then I have here Exhibit G, the public hearing roster. With that being said, I know you know our process, but we usually like to just let the applicant walk through anything they'd like about the application, and then we can jump in with any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. So thank you for advising us that the exhibits have been, have those exhibits been admitted into evidence for this hearing?
Yeah, so we used to formally enter them. We don't do that anymore,
That's
but
what I
we've got
thought.
them, and yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, obviously, we have both the owners of this proposed liquor license establishment here before us. I'd like to kind of walk through generally who they are, what they're going to do, how it's going to operate, the type of alcohol training we're going to provide, all that kind of stuff.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Shapen proceeds, I want to just make it clear for the record that I am familiar with his law firm. I am a tenant in the law firm's building. I've seen Mr. Shapen on and off in the elevator, but I need to make that clear that I have no interest in the Dill Law Firm, but I am a tenant of their building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, well, I guess I should just clarify, it would probably be helpful to have a statement. Do you feel like you will still be able to be objective in evaluating the applicant?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I have no objection either.
Great,
Thank you.
you.
So, Mr. Schaefer, Mr. Smith, I'll let one of you start asking or answering the questions that I have, and if someone wants to answer as well, please state who you are for the record, and we can move on. But why don't we just start with this? Mr. Smith, would you please tell the authority your background and kind of what you've done the last 10 or so years?
Yes, again, I'm Lewis Smith. I've been in the industry for 22 years now. I've owned and operated the Castle Bar and Grill for going on 9.5 years now and been involved in community. I've got a college degree in economics, and yeah, I mean, I feel like through the past that, I mean, I understand the responsibilities that it takes through my experience that I've gained. I've handled challenging situations as well, and I think I've managed those situations fairly well because of my experience in the service industry.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, what about yourself?
Sure, this is Russell Schaefer. I've been in the restaurant industry for about 35 years and have managed full-service dining restaurants, been involved in numerous national concepts, and have really enjoyed the industry and just been a part of training and developing people along the way.
And Mr. Schaefer, this is the first restaurant that you and Mr. Smith are seeking to open together?
Correct,
And
that's
could
correct.
you describe to the authority the synergy of how you guys came about and kind of how this whole concept came about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Tap and I met about 9 years ago and through a mutual friend and just kind of hit it off. And I think we hit it off so well because of the mutual adoration for the industry. So we would get together on occasion for breakfast, actually at Lewis's Diner, and talk about things that are going on at his restaurant and things that are going on mine, and kind of just created this really good relationship. And then one day I was looking at purchasing a different business, and I called Tap and said, hey, I'm looking at doing this one thing. And he's like, why are you doing that when you and I can go into something together? So it just all kind of created itself from there, and we took a look at this barbecue opportunity.
And where's the barbecue located at currently?
The restaurant's at 311 East County Line Road. It's in the Oakbrook Shopping Center. There's the motor vehicle division's in there. It's a fantastic location. I live less than 10 minutes away, which makes things great for me, obviously, and I think for the restaurant as well, and for the employees and the potential patrons. It's a fantastic area. There's incredible growth. A lot's going on in that shopping center as far as redevelopment and upgrades. So we're really excited to be there and be a part of that.
And is this a restaurant you're starting from scratch, or was it in existence prior to you purchasing it?
No, that's a great question, because that's another wonderful part of this, is that the gentleman who owned it prior to us was running a barbecue restaurant, and I believe about 12 years. And so he's created quite a good following, and that was one of the things when we met Mark, the previous owner. It was, we want to keep it barbecue and keep his regulars kind of happy, and then grow from there and feel like we could bring a lot more to it and take it from where he brought it to and just go a little further.
Approximately how large is this space?
It's about, the total space I think is about 1,900 square feet. It's a pretty large kitchen area, which is great because part of the title of our restaurant is "and catering." So we really want to reach out to the community and just interact with it through the catering opportunities as well.
And proportionally speaking, how big is the dining room for sit-down consumption and eating of food versus the kitchen? Is it a quarter, a third, a half?
Well, I would guess about a third. Would you say about a third? Yeah, about a third.
Roughly 50 seats.
Yeah, so we've got about 50 seats in there.
50 seats in there?
Yeah.
And the prior operator of this establishment did not have a liquor license, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're seeking now for a hotel and restaurant class liquor license for on-premise consumption. And why are you asking the City of Littleton to consider your application in furtherance of your operation?
Well, you know, one thing that we know, and we've also heard, especially during the petitioning process, is that a lot of people like to combine, you know, an alcoholic beverage with their barbecue. And we wanted to create something a little more casual dining and comfort, and give an option of that to complement their meal.
And percentage-wise, you understand that a hotel and restaurant class liquor license requires that you have 25% of your gross revenues be derived from the sale of food.
Mm-hmm.
What do you anticipate the alcohol versus food revenues being at this location should the license be granted?
You know, given my experience and TAP's experience, I think we're not looking at much more than 20%, I imagine. Would you say?
Alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 80% food, and then, I mean, we're more about the food than we are about the alcohol, but we know that the alcohol complements the food really well. And I think that there's a definite desire and want for it. As I did the petitioning. Incredible experience. You get to know a lot of people during that.
And I was about to ask you about that. You mentioned you circulated the petitions yourself.
Yes.
And can you describe the authority, kind of where you went, coordinates-wise, if you would, and kind of the discussions you had with the folks that were out there in the Littleton community?
I got to tell you, you know, looking back, hindsight, it's a great experience for any business owner to do this, because they get to know the community right there near their place of business, and that's kind of how, you know, I started. I tried to start as close to the business as itself, and then work my way out. And you really get to see the diversity in the community near you, all age groups. It was a great experience to meet people, and then get the response that we got as far as just the excitement that we're kind of doing something a little bit more than what was there before.
And did you have any discussions with the folks about anyone in opposition or any concerns that you heard in the community when you were circulating these petitions?
No, and to be, you know, truthful, of course, there were a couple people that just didn't want to sign the petition, but nobody said they didn't want it or were against it or anything. And that was encouraging as well.
Great. So I do agree with you. It's a great way to meet your neighbors and your trade area, if you would. Is this the first time you've operated an alcohol license facility if this license is granted?
This is not the first time I've operated, no.
No, and the same with the Mr. Smith as
Right.
well, prior experience. What do we intend to do to ensure that the employees, if this license is granted, are operating themselves in compliance with the ordinances of the City of Littleton and the State of Colorado, the laws and the regulations?
Right, yeah, and there's nothing more important than safety and security. So we intend to utilize the TIPS program to train our people. We'll always have a manager or an owner on duty there to support the employee, the bartender, the server. If there's anything that might arise, we'll make sure that they are trained properly before they're put out on their own.
Are you familiar with the differentiation between a horizontal identification
Absolutely.
and a vertical identification in
Right.
Colorado?
Yes.
Can you describe to the
Sure.
authority the differences, please?
Well, the vertical ones are under 21, and so that's always a quick and easy way to spot somebody underage, of course, and we would never serve anyone like that. And if a server or bartender got into a conversation with a guest, we'll train them to come and get a manager or an owner immediately, and we'll take care of it.
You guys going to have an ID policy? Are you going to ID everybody, or a certain age would trigger the request for an identification? Can you describe that?
And it's always good to ID everybody, but we intend to at least ID people that appear to be 50 years or younger, just to be on the safe side. We think that's a good.
And continuing down that line, is this going to be like a purchase and order at the counter, and the food and the alcohol is then delivered out, or are we going to have table service? Can you describe the authority how that's going to work?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll have a bar service, and then we'll have a dining area where we'll have table service as well. So nobody will be we'll be delivering the drinks to the tables, our servers and bartenders.
And how many servers and bartenders do we intend to have?
We're looking at probably about 8 to 10, probably 8 to 10.
And people in the kitchen, folks in the kitchen?
Another 6, half a dozen or so, probably. So it's a real, yeah.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's just it's an intimate setting. There's all, about 50 seats. We maybe can squeeze, a few more, but it's a great intimate setting with a nice, comfortable dining area.
And what about your hours of operation, should this license be granted for alcohol? When do you guys intend to open, and when's the last order or last call, so to speak?
Oh, sure. So we intend to open tomorrow. We did a lot of prep and cooking today. Obviously, not to serve alcoholic beverages. We want to get the food out to the public as fast as we could. Our hours of operation, we intend to be 11 to 9, Sunday through Thursday, and then stay open until 10 on Friday and Saturday. And then last call, we're looking at half hour before.
And you're aware through your prior histories that an alcohol license in the state of Colorado or the city of Littleton is a privilege. It's not a right. Not everyone gets one. What would happen if one of your employees happens to violate the training you provide and sell alcohol to a minor or to a visibly intoxicated person? Have you thought about what type of reprimand you guys would have in place for that?
Yes, we'd like to be able to work with the employees so not to immediately fire someone and maybe look at ourselves and ensure that we gave them proper training, and that could be a simple mistake. Just depends upon the circumstance. But ultimately, if this is a problem, it would we would eventually have to terminate their employment.
And I guess one of my final questions for you before the authority may have some additional questions is the name of your trade name. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, it's rather embarrassing at first because I'm Rusty, he's Tap, we're the Rusty Tap, and so we had a lot of conversation about that, and so we thought we couldn't decide what a name for the place would be, but everybody's like, no, that's a great name, it's a great name, and so we were like, well, people might expect beer and things there because you're Tap, right? But it is 2 P's in the title, so we're prepared either way, of course. But it just makes sense. It flows real well. And then Colorado barbecue, people like to ask, what kind of barbecue are you? And every Kansas City or Texas, Memphis, but Colorado barbecue is what we are because our roots are deep here, and we want to promote Colorado, not Kansas City or Memphis or Texas.
Great. I don't have any further questions at this time. I'll tender these folks to the authority here.
Questions from the authority?
The bar area on your diagram here, is there seating at the bar?
Currently not, but we're planning on putting about 8 bar stools in front of the bar.
Okay.
I have a question for Mr. Schaefer and one for Mr. Smith. Mr. Schaefer, is it tap beer or canned beer or bottled beer? How do you intend to serve the beer?
All of the above. We'll have a few tap handles, some bottled beer, and there's always a canned beer that everybody likes eventually, so we'll have a can.
Okay.
And to further that, is that we don't have a draft line set up yet. It's something that we're currently working towards. So initially, we'll just plan on being bottles and cans.
Okay. And while you're up there, Mr. Smith, you testified earlier that you have a license for the Castle on South Broadway about a mile from this establishment. In the time you've owned and operated the Castle, have you had any liquor violations or citations come before this authority?
I have come before the authority. I have not been found guilty of any of those violations from the authority.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Will this be full-time for the two of you? I mean, you have another establishment you work at, and I don't know if you're working right now. There was an attachment I don't think was in here with your employment history.
I'll be full-time.
Okay.
And I'll be heavily involved as well, but it's going to be Rusty's primary job, and so I'm kind of more in the back end of it, the kitchen end of it, and he's more of the up front, but obviously we're going to be cross-trained to be able to take care of either responsibility. So.
Okay. And it does look on the map, you're probably not this time of the year, but you're going to have seating outside on the
yes,
patio?
there currently is seating outside, so that's why we included it in the map, and we wanted to have a conversation either with you guys or development as far as if we need to incorporate a fence, if we're allowed to have alcohol out there. I kind of saw that as the next step after we received the license.
So, so long as you included it in your application, then you should we grant you the license, that will be part of your licensed area, so you would be allowed to. As far as putting up a new fence, that would be development. And then we'll just make sure you know that it's your responsibility that the alcohol stays on premise, so would encourage you to put a sign and make, some reasonable procedures to keep people from walking out.
Great.
And then anything city clerk wants to add? Anything?
That is something that you would need to take up with community development. Okay. Yeah.
Again, the actual addition of the fence, but so long as you have included that area in your application, that is considered to be part of the licensed
Yeah,
premises.
so just for the record, that is included in the application, but to the point of complying with the City of Littleton, the fencing requirements and building, you got to reach out to those folks to make sure.
Right, but we would highly encourage you to have the fence, because otherwise it is much easier for someone to get up and walk away, and again, that's your responsibility.
Great. Thank you for
The fence and signage.
Right, yes, fence, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Schaefer, I want to ask, you said it was a good process to go through doing your own survey. How did you find, did you feel like you had the resources you needed to be able to go about that on your own?
Yeah, I had a lot of help with
Okay.
that. Did a great job. Colleen was fantastic. So, with a great step-by-step process. Any questions I had, responded quick. Hopefully I turned in the stuff the right way, and I can read. That's what that was all about, right?
That's the hardest part.
It's good to hear. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Is there anyone else here this evening who would like to speak on this matter? Nope. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion from the authority.
I'll go ahead and do it. I move that the public hearing be closed and that a resolution of the Littleton Licensing Authority be approved, which grants COBBQ LLC DBA The Rusty Tap Colorado Barbecue and Catering, 311 East County Line Road, Littleton, Colorado, a hotel and restaurant liquor license contingent upon approval by the Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division and based upon the following findings of fact. 1, that the notice of the hearing was properly posted and published. 2, that the applicant has possession of the premises and the premises are suitable for the requested license. 3, that the needs of the neighborhood are not now being met. 4, that it is the desire of the adult inhabitants of the neighborhood that the license be issued. 5, that existing similar liquor licenses in the neighborhood, in the designated neighborhood are not adequate. And 6, that the applicant is of good moral character, record, and reputation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Everything seems in order to me. Will the clerk please pull the authority?
Chair Cole,
Yes.
Vice Chair Levere,
Yes.
Authority Member Buchanan,
Yes.
Authority Member Webb.
Yes.
Congratulations. Best of luck with the venture, and thank you for the thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is 9A, reports from staff. We had 3 monthly staff reports as it's been a while since we've gotten together. Did anyone have any questions, or is there anything that staff wanted to point out in particular beyond the printed reports that we have?
Madam Clerk, I have a question about one of these was, the Anthony's Pizza is being held up pending review by the city attorney's office?
Yes, that renewal actually came in late after much work on behalf of staff to get it in here. There's actually a lien against them right now for non-payment of taxes.
Of city sales taxes?
Correct. And for some returned payments. I spoke with finance this morning. The licensee has paid those back taxes. They were still holding on to it to make sure that those funds were good funds and cleared. It is the intent of finance, as of this morning, that as soon as the licensee files their August return for this year, which was due last month, then they'll release the lien, and once that happens, then I can further process the renewal.
Then on the ones that say pending LPD, that's just the normal process where LPD's doing their review.
And on the Anthony's Pizza license, so long as the applicant has applied, they have the ability to continue
Correct.
with their license. Is that correct?
Yes, according to state statute, as long as they are in a current renewal process, which they are deemed to be operating under a valid license. We have issued a letter of extension to them for their distributors so that they can continue to operate until such time that we determine we can move forward with the process. We have also notified state liquor enforcement, because state will, at a certain time, if they haven't seen the application, and it's generally 90 days, they will just cancel the license. And so we have been in touch with them, and they know what's going on. So the licensee is not at any risk of losing their license at this point.
And can you please remind me where we left things with potential changes to the city code?
Do you want to?
I believe at this time we are still on the calendar for November for a study session with City Council, and then it would go to first and second read in December.
Okay.
And just so the authority is aware, we are going through and doing some housekeeping to it because state liquor has recodified the entire liquor code into one code, so we no longer have a place for liquor and for beer and for special events. It's all in one collective code now. And so we're going through and changing all of those references to statute to meet the new
And that's what bumped us back to November, right?
part of it, yeah. And then just other things have been coming up, but
But those changes have been done at the state level now, and we're able to.
they were
make the
effective
reference.
October 1, yes.
Will we then get a chance to look at the proposed modifications before they go to the study session?
I can certainly provide a copy in your next report. It's going to be exactly what you approved the last time. It'll just have different CRS references.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else from the authority? Anything else from staff?
Is it anticipated we'll have a hearing in November?
Yes, currently in November, we have a new license for a 3-2, and we have a change of location for a retail liquor store.
Is the 3-2 the gas station?
Correct.
Be hard to keep a straight face during that one.
There have been a lot of them, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.